Well, since the new Star Wars trailer came out, people have been bombarding me with messages asking me for my opinion on the new lightsaber crossguard thing. And since this seems to be such a matter of utmost urgency, here is my take on it. Considering how the debates have already set the internet on fire, I'm pretty sure what I'm about to say has already been pointed out, probably quite a few times. In fact, Matt Easton has already made a video about this, and yeah, what I'm about to say is pretty similar. Just have some minor points to add. As far as the design is concerned, I can definitely appreciate the innovation. It looks nice, and well, if you interpret it positively, you would say that, oh, they tried to make the thing a bit more practical and more efficient in combat and whatnot. But then again, it's Hollywood. What they probably had in mind is, hey, let's put more glowy stuff on there. It looks cool. That's what I would expect, at least. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But in any case, I actually think that the standard traditional lightsaber design looks a bit lackluster. I mean, it's a very simple handle with a glow stick protruding from it. Yeah, that remark is probably going to set off some nerd rage from devout Star Wars fans, but yeah, it's just my personal opinion. And the new one looks a bit nicer. One thing that people have criticized is if you have a guard of plasma, laser, magic thingamajig, whatever, that can cut or burn you at the slightest touch. You don't really want to have that there, because if you accidentally touch yourself with the guard, you're going to be in trouble. Well, I don't necessarily think that's a big deal. And I agree with Matt here. If you're actually used to it, if you've been practicing with the thing for a long time, which you would have to in order to be effective with it, I think you would be used to it at that point. There's a bit of safety distance between the hand and the guard. Heat might be an issue, depending on exactly how it works. There could be a lot of heat radiating off of it, but then again, that's always a potential issue with it. Like even with the blade. If the blade radiated a lot of heat, it would be a problem to use. So I'm just going to assume that that's not the case. So in terms of protective value, on a traditional lightsaber, the complete lack of a guard does seem like a bit of a hazard. There are situations in which your opponent could aim for your hands and get away with it, which they couldn't with a guard. If you don't have any guard, this kind of cut goes directly on the hand. If you have a guard, it doesn't work. With steel swords, what is very common is, as soon as you have blade contact, they will slide. At least if at least one of the two is contacting with the flat of the blade. If both have a sharp edge, the edge is actually going to bite into one another and they're going to want to stick. But if there's contact against the flat, that's not a problem. So then what typically happens is this, and the blade in that case strikes very close to the blade, to your blade. In the trailer you can see that the handle is actually kind of T-shaped and has metal or whatever material that is on the sides, kind of a plasma or laser or whatever emitter where the guard comes out of. So that's exactly the spot that would be cut by the opponent's lightsaber if it slides down and hits there. I'm not sure if they could slide much. I mean, typically in the movies you see the kind of just holding the lightsaber blades against one another, but that's a typical movie cliche that they keep doing all the time, even with steel swords. They just stand there and do their ridiculous, pointless pushing, which achieves nothing, so that it doesn't retell too much. So those spots are definitely a weakness in the guard. So it would be a lot better if the entire thing consisted of plasma, laser, magical unicorn farts, whatever it is that makes this work. But if you think about it, having a weak spot on the guard is still better than no guard at all, isn't it? Because, yeah, sure, if the opponent's blade can slide down, it could cut through it. But if there's nothing in the first place, it can also slide down and cut your fingers. So in that case, there's at least here you have something with which to parry or attack alternatively. So even in that case, it still seems better than nothing, right? At least that's how I view it. A better alternative, however, in my opinion, would be to make the guard out of a material that can actually withstand a lightsaber blade. And there are such materials in the Star Wars universe. Cortosis is one example, a material which has the additional benefit of actually short-circuiting lightsaber blades, so they don't work for a while, but that's of course perfect for the purpose. And there are also other materials like Madalorian Iron is said to be able to stop a lightsaber, and several other materials as well. So if it was made out of that material, that would be pretty much the perfect solution. I can see why they wouldn't do that in a trailer, even if they had considered that, because if you had just seen an apparently metal guard on the lightsaber in the trailer, then everybody would have lost their shit and ranted about how stupid is that, a lightsaber blade could just cut right through it. So yeah, I can kind of see why they didn't go for that. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this. And I'm pretty baffled by all the outrage. I mean, really? Is it just a case of they changed something about my favorite franchise and any kind of change is bad automatically? Well, okay, after some of the movies I can kind of see the attitude. But in any case, people have asked me for it. Here it is. And as if you can't already tell, I'm not a particularly big Star Wars fan. But I don't mind it either, so it's kind of meh. Anyway, thanks for watching.